I'm Jordan.
And I'm Rosanna.
And on this podcast, we explore how to take life off autopilot
and relentlessly pursue a life worth living together. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 3 of the Relentless Pursuit podcast, Family Meetings.
Yeah, let's talk about family meetings, or something that I think we've alluded to earlier in the podcast, but just more intentionally explore what is literally a meeting with your family and how that could play a role, how it's played a role for us, and also how it could potentially play a role for us, maybe for our listeners down the road too.
Yeah, and then this is something that is a little bit newer to us. Obviously, as the kids are getting older, just the capacity to how to talk to the family and address everybody at the same time, that moves beyond just like dinner conversation, which is lively and robust at our house. But we've used this, I would say, multiple times in the last 6-8 months. And it's, something that's kind of going to be a part of the dynamic moving forward. And so just kind of examining what it looks like for us, how we've used it, how you might be able to use it. And obviously happy to hear feedback for how other people use it as well.
Yeah, this is certainly not a new invention. You can find plenty of people who've been doing this for generations. But I'm glad you brought up dinners, because this is distinguished from like any ordinary conversation. Like to call, like it feels like a little bit of...
There's a bit of a formality to it.
Well, it's an oxymoron, right? Because you just live with your family. Everything you do is just normal day-to-day interaction. But to have a meeting with your family feels like there's a lot more formality to it. And I would say that it is more formal. So, because you have dinners and you just sit down, you eat, you talk about your day, we laugh, we yell at the kids. But we
sing, we dance, we spill.
Exactly.
A lot going on.
All the things you're not supposed to do. But but you can't have, I think by definition, you can't really have a family meeting during dinner.
No.
Just to get into what we're talking about here.
Well, it's like if your boss wants to have a meeting with you, or a client wants to have a meeting with you, and you're discussing business or something that's serious, it's usually not done over a cocktail or a meal.
Yeah, let's go to happy hour and hash this out.
Right, not at all. But... It's, a focus time.
Yeah. All right, so to kind of get into it, at least let's start with talking about what this is for us and how this kind of just originated for us, and then we can kind of talk through more of what it could be or what we want it to be moving forward.
Okay, so you want just like a definition of what it is, or?
Well, how would you define it? Yeah, because this is the Catapano family definition.
I would say the reason why we have a family meeting is to discuss some sort of family issue in a clear and organized manner. And so it's not necessarily always a problem, but it is something that is more serious. And so it's not going to be lighthearted, but it's something that needs to be discussed.
Right. So at a time where you want everyone to be on the same page, you want everything to be clear. Yes.
And so I think what it is, it's ultimately a time set aside to promote some healthy communication. Like we're gonna talk to you about this, and it's, we need to communicate something to you. It can be about making decisions, solving problems, or setting expectations, or even, and I don't want to say like teaching, but kind of.
A little bit. Like, at least informing. Like, hey, here's what to expect.
I think all for the goal of encouraging a strong family relationship. And research shows that the better a family communicates, the stronger their family relationships, and then that results in happier and healthier family members. So it kind of all rolls into one.
Right. I don't think we need research to tell us that.
Well, but in case it's, just not something
in question.
Yes.
Yeah. So this originated for us back in the fall, maybe last August, I want to say. And I think our original family meeting was just because I think it was towards the end of the summer, where the kids are super, they're already bored of all of the summer activities. Things. They're ready to get back to school and a different sense of routine and structure. And then there just the respect and the obedience and just the general enjoyment we had of being together as a family had really gone down pretty significantly. So I think at some point, probably, I think I was fed up. I'm like, that's it. It's a family meeting. So that's how this all started for us. And But here's the format that we took, and this was kind of spontaneous for us, but then we've used it more intentionally since then, and I think have a good platform moving forward. But it was like we already said, like not at a mealtime. I think it was in the evening, like after we had eaten dinner, we had cleaned up, and then we're like, okay, family meeting, and so just a bare table.
Yeah, called everyone to a table. So everyone was like sitting in a hard seat, like in their own seat, not touching anybody else, kind of focused on the person at the head.
Right, and this was the six of us. So you can have, and we'll talk about extended family and meetings and whatnot, but this was me, Rosanna, and the four kids, including our 3-year-old who has no idea what's going on. But he still sat there, and I think he even participated too. I don't recall. But
Oh, yeah, he doesn't want to be left out and he wants to mimic what they're doing. So he took part.
yeah. So you kind of need to start a meeting by talking about why you called the meeting. So I think you and I started, and the meeting was weird because it's like basically me and you griping about the kids' behaviors to the kids.
To the kids.
But like we tried to add, like this adds like a level of ceremony instead of just yelling at the kids and punishing them, or griping about it one-on-one. Like we tried to, like I think the purpose was to address this as a family. Like let's be calm here, but let's acknowledge the truth that we're treating one another disrespectfully now. Like you kids are not getting along. You're even saying things to like us, your parents, that are out of line and are whatever hurtful or disobedient or irresponsible. And so I don't remember a lot of the specifics of what was going on at the time, but I remember that instead of just like overreacting or getting fed up, like it was a chance to like more rationally approach an issue that we were having as a family and then try to talk through it together. So it started off as a bit of a lecture from me and you to just kind of set the agenda, but then we tried to transition it into a dialogue where we can say, why are we acting this way towards one another? What can we do to and solicit the kids for input?
Right. And so this idea of open dialogue is obviously nothing new, but it's kind of like this go around method where we give everybody a chance to speak or respond. We had set the rules like, we're going to talk, you're going to listen. There's no interrupting, there's no criticizing, there's no correcting or complaining. Like this is a sit and listen time. And when it's your turn, we will let you know. And when it's your turn, you can speak. Whether you answer the questions we've posed or you have something to say, that is the time that you can share. Yeah. But again, there's no criticizing or complaining. It's
just listen, just take it in.
Right.
You know what I've seen some people do, like sometimes at work meetings too. There's like a token, and if you're holding that token,
I believe we tried that, and then that did not go well with the kids.
Like if you're
right, the talking stick or whatever it might be, and then they're playing and
I've
fiddling.
I've got the talking pillow, damn it.
And they're throwing it and they're dropping it and they're spinning it in their finger. So like, I think that's the great thing about a family meeting is you have to do what works for your family. And we would have never done this when, Jack was 3 and Leo was, 1.5 or, even vice versa. Like our kids are
too little to engage.
Right.
But they're at
right.
age now.
Roman is now a part of it because he's a part of the family. He's seeing something that his siblings never saw at that age. But I also know any kind of talking stick or pillow would not work with 3 boys in the house. So like the rules are the rules that work for your family.
It's like Lord of the Flies where Piggy keeps grabbing the conch. She's like, I got the conch and you got to listen to me.
Okay.
That doesn't go well for him.
Does not go well.
No, you're just talking about a bunch of boys together. So, but that could work down the road too. But I don't feel like we need that because then the kids started raising their hands and then there was still they're still little and we tried to lay a few basic rules like we're gonna open up and like start the meeting, but you can ask a question, you can offer your input.
Right. And when I think about the family meeting, I feel like no parent like wants to have to do that, but I feel like we're laying like the groundwork and some foundation for much bigger things. And so maybe it starts off with the kids are being disrespectful at home, and so we address it in a family meeting. And then we use that in other circumstances this fall when your mom was sick.
Well, this is where it kind of became more important for us.
Well, right. So like then the next time we had a family meeting, we're like, well, we're going to have a family meeting after dinner. And it was, I think our oldest said, uh-oh, what did we do wrong now? And we're like, well, it's not that kind of meeting. And so I think what's good is using the family meeting as a tool that a lot of things can be discussed. And it's not just bad behavior, or it's not just sad news, or it's like, that it can be for happy things. It can be for planning purposes. It can be for like even just like organizing and prepping, like, hey, we've got people coming in from out of town and this is what we expect while they're here staying with, like you can really use it for whatever topic you want to talk about. But I guess when I envision our kids even older than they are now, one of my, I think, biggest fears as a parent is that like our kids at some point are going to make a mistake. And whether they get in trouble or, they borderline like harming themselves or someone else, I want our kids to always know that they can come and talk to us and tell us like what's really going on. I want them to know that we value honesty and integrity. I want to know that we're teaching them some like emotional intelligence where it's like, yes, I'm going to get in trouble for what I've just done, but it's more important to tell my parents what's going on and have them help talk me through it than it is to like hide whatever the problem is.
See, but I think talking to us, the parents, is different than a family meeting. Because family meeting includes your siblings too.
I know, but I think the point of just modeling this like healthy communication and whether the topic is good, bad, scary, or exciting, that they want to know that there's a safe place where they can come and tell you what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I certainly hope that they talk to us as parents, but I think the goal is to have that space where it's like we're in this together. Like I talk about, I tell the kids like we're a wolf pack. So you got to be able to gather with your pack, and your parents are still in charge, but you can still get a great idea or a great source of encouragement from your sibling too. And so this goes back to how we were using this in the fall when, like before we went to go see my mom for the last time, we sat down and just kind of had that upfront conversation with the kids. And then a month later, when we were having the memorial service and a lot of the family was coming in to town, just like telling them just what to expect so that it wasn't just so. I think the goal now is that the kids are included and they're treated, I wouldn't say as equals, but they're treated with the respect of like you're on the inside of this. We're going to give you all the information that we have up front. Your opinion or your questions matter, and this is the space. Like you can raise your hand and you can ask questions, and most of the questions they ask are just inane and annoying right now. Like, oh, will there be snacks there? Right, or the things that kids are concerned with.
Right.
Or sometimes the solutions. Like I remember Leo was full of ideas for like how to improve behavior around the household, but it's these, I think he was like 8 years old. So he has like 8-year-old ideas, and it was like very complicated and ridiculous. He's like, what if we keep a list for each kid and it has all these different categories, and then if you do this, then that's 1 point, but if you do that, then that's 3 points, and then when you add up your points, and then it was just
But
this
you
whole
could take
system.
away points, but only on Thursdays, and if you've eaten a banana already, and yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, he concocted this whole system that you're like, that sounds really great, and I'd love to implement that, except it makes no sense. And so, it's just fun, like allowing them that space to contribute and to explore and
To be heard,
and
to be seen.
to be heard, and hopefully feel like other people are hearing you or seeing you.
Well, and I think it's ownership too of like, yeah, we are a family, but it's even though mom and dad are in charge, like everybody else still matters. Everybody else still has a role. Everybody else still has a part.
Mm-hmm. So, but I think you're right. Like right now, that it's important to do this with our kids now, but a lot of it is more the investment. Like these are almost dress rehearsals for some of the more significant conversations that we'll have down the road. Like certainly when they're teenagers or young adults, and there are issues that need to be brought to the family, that we already have a forum that we're accustomed to make that happen.
Well, and one like preteen. So we're parenting someone for the first time through a lot of changes, through middle school and puberty and all of that and phones and, pretty soon it'll be driving and so like oftentimes we don't have the answers and we're not sure what's right. But like when we establish like what the rules are for the family and we tell them to the family, it's good because it helps keep us accountable for like what's fair and equal for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you just make the decisions behind closed doors, sometimes you don't follow through, but, kind of laying it out there is always good.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's my hope, is that it gives the kids maybe a higher sense of agency where they do have a little bit more say or a little bit more control over what happens in the house, what the family decides to do, or what happens to them. And you had mentioned, so I guess I'm kind of thinking of like what it could be. And one of the things would be that comes to my mind is that it's not, like you had said, it's not just about a problem that's come up or something negative where we need to break the news in a somber sort of way, but it could be celebratory. Like I'm thinking of when Jack won that character award, whatever it was, like a year ago or so, like just like giving it's a degree of ceremony and formality where we can sit down and like make the big announcement to the kids, even if they knew already, and then go out for ice cream or something more traditional, or any other like big news for your business, right? Or for just something that we're experiencing as adults. I'm also thinking about like just family decisions. Like we want to go on vacation this year. Well, what if we sat down and just shared like here's the 3 options for vacation. Like they're all good options. What do you kids actually want to do? And just giving them a space to like talk that through, to ask questions, to kind of weigh for themselves. And then the problem with that is that no one ever agrees.
We always disappoint somebody.
Yeah.
3 options. We have 3 different people pick 3 different things. But even getting them to be part of the conversation. I mean, ultimately, it's kind of like as a leader, whether you're like in business or in wherever you work. Like sometimes you already know what the answer is, but you kind of let the other people in the group like steer the decision there, even though you know where you're ultimately going. But like, these are some of the trips we've taken in the past. These are the places you've liked the most. What did you like about those places? And then, like letting that be a springboard to, well, like what are some options maybe that we could do this summer that might be exciting? I mean, we do that with, family trips or, family fun Fridays or whatnot, but like they get to be a part of it where they feel that sense of agency in the family and like that their voice is heard.
Yeah. I also have a couple other things that I would imagine like this would turn into. One is that I would like for anyone to have the ability to call a family meeting.
Okay, I like that.
Right? Can you imagine a few years from now, one of the kids is just like going through something. They're like, man, like I really want to like just bring this up with my family. I feel like they should know or they should help me. I'm calling a family meeting.
Yeah. Right. They see something at school or they see something with a friend and it's whether it's good or bad or upsetting. And then they want to talk about it. Like, something happened today. I saw this happen. I want to talk to you guys about it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'm not looking forward to, I'm assuming that this will come up at some point, but once they're like young adults, I don't want to play the role of any sort of like arbitrator in a dispute between the kids.
We do that now. We're like,
we do it now because they're little kids.
Take it up with the person that offended you.
Can you imagine, like, have a family meeting, and now all the siblings get to air these grievances against one another. I'm gonna be like, you know what, guys, sort this out.
Well, and I think that's, those are the parameters you set in a family meeting. If you have something that someone's bothering you about, like it's up to you to like resolve it between the 2 of you. If between the 2 of you can't resolve it, then you can pull in a parent to consult. But we're not here to like air our dirty laundry or air our grievances about how everybody has wronged you and in all the wrong ways. Like, you've got to take some sense of ownership about your behavior and how you've contributed, and that's for people to figure out. But I mean, ultimately a family meeting should be short. It should be well planned. There should be a goal and you should have your main points outlined, right? Like no one wants to sit through an hour family meeting or a half hour family meeting just by the
It's the
person
same
who's
as any other meeting,
well, right,
Like,
just by everybody who's leading it, like, like having this, 25-point presentation, and like, what's the ultimate goal? Like, the kids are misbehaving or they're being disrespectful. Okay, so like, what's the goal? We want to stop that behavior. Here are some of our main points. So like, going in, knowing what you want to talk about. If you're a single parent, it's just you. If you're, a couple, and you can kind of divide and conquer or play good cop, bad cop, or like whatever it might be, it's probably good to have both people on board. And even if one person isn't necessarily the best communicator, I think it definitely shows kids that like everyone is a part of the conversation and you don't have to be the most polished person in the group to express your feelings.
yeah. So those are just a few of the things. Like we've really only did this a handful of times, but I'm and not that it's a new or fancy thing that we've contrived, but like I'm kind of like proud of the foundation that we're trying to lay for our kids and just for the way that we communicate and address things together. And then moving forward, we have that platform that we can use to address more significant things.
Yeah, I mean, definitely plenty of room to grow. I'm sure there are books about this that we could even look into. I didn't even think about Googling anything.
I didn't
before
look
we
up
sat
any
down.
books, yeah, because it doesn't seem like overly complicated. Maybe there are like other considerations to address too. Maybe it depends on what your family's going through or what needs to be said.
Or the ages of your kids, or even the fact that we have an 11-year-old and we have a 3-year-old. We did have a very informal family meeting, I believe, regarding some things when things were kind of racially charged a couple summers ago with like Black Lives Matter and all of that. I remember like having a conversation about that. What else did we have something about? When they were pulling troops out of Iraq, and we were talking about good guys and bad guys.
Afghanistan.
And Afghanistan.
Yeah, the kids had a lot of questions, and so a good chance to talk through some of those things together.
So, even if it's just things that they're hearing about, like in the media, our kids go to school and there's no shortage of conversation apparently at the lunch table and on the bus about pop culture and
Can't stand
hot topics and all of that. And so when they come home with something, sometimes it's just a real raw moment where we're suddenly addressing, the war in Afghanistan and bad guys and where they're hiding and being nuked out and,
Nuked out.
I mean, just
Yeah.
some crazy stuff.
Yeah, fourth graders especially are no shortage of expertise in all these areas.
And drama.
Apparently, yeah. But I think also like there's a degree of formality to family, so you can't just call one all the time because then everything is like this big formal conversation that we have to hash through and sort through, and you have to be super serious about it, and that's kind of ridiculous too. So it's almost like a tool that you have to use more like a scalpel at very precise moments.
Wow, that was intense. Like a scalpel.
But I'm thinking of the many informal moments too, where like we're helping one of our kids get ready for school, right? Or we're just playing a family game, and then a topic comes up, and we could just more casually,
Like a teachable moment.
but yeah, having those teachable moments, like those are just as, if not more important as well too. So I don't want to lose sight of all of the range of opportunities that we have for good conversation. Whether it's over a meal or on a bike ride or on a vacation, or whether it's like more formally set up to address something.
Yeah. And, it's time, place, topic. I'm just, thinking of, I only have one girl. And so I'm going to have, the conversation with her about her changing body at some point. That's not a family meeting. That's not a family meeting.
No.
That's just that one-on mom and daughter experience where it's, might start over ice cream and, end over shopping at Claire's. But like, whatever that is we do have all of these opportunities to teach our kids and to influence them. And this is just one of the ways that you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is, one thing that we're interested in exploring a little bit more, if anyone listening has done family meetings with really like any age kids, or maybe as a child or even as a young adult, you've done these with your extended family, like we'd be curious to know about that as well. I think that there's opportunity. It depends on the topic and to the issue at hand, that you would bring in like someone else, whether an extended family member or just someone outside, to come in and share information or help the family walk through a given discussion. What about when our kids have like serious girlfriends or spouses?
Well, do you call a family meeting for that?
Well, not for that, but are they included in the meeting?
I think that's a decision based on your family, based on what you're talking about. I can't imagine my parents calling a family meeting saying, like, I feel like together as a family, there's something that we want to discuss, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and saying, Rosanna, you can come. John, you can come. Anthony, you can come.
No significant others.
You're right.
Well, at this point, I mean,
well,
we've been around
that's my
forever,
point.
yeah.
But in some families, that might be the most appropriate thing. And so, again, that depends on the family, the situation, the relationships, and maybe what
It would
the
make an
meeting is
interesting
about.
story. Like, what if you're the spouse who's like left out of a family meeting because there's like this like hidden like family secret, and then the movie is them slowly uncovering this.
Sounds
and
like
finding out who
Mafia.
the family. Yes, it could be something like that. That could be the plot of the next Netflix thriller.
There you go.
Yeah. So like we were saying, we're interested in learning more about this as well. So this is more of a straightforward, a shorter conversation with all of you that we just wanted to share something that has worked for us and that we're still developing and trying to utilize as a family ourselves. So share your thoughts or share your experiences with us. And we're always interested in telling you what's going on with us in the hopes that you can teach us a little bit more.
Thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you next time. If you've got a little extra time, head on over to iTunes, and you can leave a 5-star rating and a review, and you can also subscribe.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us this week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to today's show. We hope you will use this conversation as a starting point for your own. We hope you're encouraged to think and act more intentionally.
If you want to learn more, you can visit our website, therelentlesspursuitpodcast.com, where you can find notes on today's show, plus additional blog posts, and you can subscribe to our free members list.
Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends.
Facebook and Instagram are 2 great places to connect with us for daily doses of our quotable quotes, behind the scenes, and real-time photos, videos, and challenges.
Until next time, let us know how you are taking life off autopilot
And relentlessly pursuing what matters.